All right, it's a rare joy for me today because I get to hang out with just one of my heroes. This man is amazing. Not only is he an Olympic gold medalist in men's figure skating, he's a believer, but why he's a hero to me is because he has survived cancer not one, two, but three times. Amazing. He is just a walking testimony of victory. And so I'm super excited that we're going to be talking with Scott Hamilton, and he's here with us today. Scott, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. It's great to be with you and just share some encouragement for anyone who needs it the most, especially for the ones that need it the most.
Oh my goodness. And we do. I was thinking about that the other day. It was weird. I was actually driving around in my car and thinking about discouragement. I don't know what that says about me, but I was thinking the only thing different.
You're looking at gas prices going up.
That's
what
it.
was. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That is
It's
it.
all those subliminal messages that just keep bombarding us every time we drive by a gas station. It's like, what? Yeah.
I'm so
discouragement.
Yes, that's true. That could have been it. That could have been the trigger. But I was saying the only thing that separates courage from discourage is three little letters that where and that's when the enemy loves to come in and twist things around, because whenever we're going to do anything of any significance, God always prepares us to be strong and courageous. And so I see
the only way to be. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to develop that, and to really kind of adopt that mentality as a kind of a constant driving force, because there is so much out there that's just coming down on us and crushing us and undermining us, and it's everywhere you look. But the muscle that you can build is, oh, there it is, right there, I see it. Right. So it's not the devil you don't know. It's the devil you know, the devil you can spot, the devil that you have really trained your kind of frequency to kind of recognize immediately. And then you see it for what it is. And knowing where the real power is, that takes on a different, lesser identity.
Well, tell me about that. Like when you talk about it's the devil you do know, because I think sometimes a lot of people, they think, that discouragement is just part of life. It's like, we have to just get through the day. But I don't see that in you. I don't see that in you at all. So what's different? Like,
no, it's there. It's all there. I mean, I get, I get affected by, I've lived through a lot, and I've experienced a lot, and I've kind of had the occasion to rise above some pretty significant challenges. But that doesn't mean that I don't have those days where it's just like, ugh, it's like, okay, what time is it? Oh, I just want to go to bed. Let this one be over, But
let this one be over.
But it's you got to have those days, otherwise you wouldn't have anything to compare the good days to, right? And everything would just sort of be like, it's sort of test pattern thing. But it is going back to the devil, it's so much of it is that it's like, we fear the things that we don't know, like what's going to happen, or I don't feel comfortable right now. And I gave a talk at World Outreach Church in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and the whole thing was the hottest selling product on the market now that's available 24 hours a day, and people can't get enough of it, and they're just climbing over each other to get it, and the purveyors are in there 24/7 just selling this product, and the product is fear, and we all live in different I guess bandwidths of fear, and this year no one saw last year coming, really. Except for maybe the people that planned it. That's another discussion.
We could do an entire podcast episode.
I'm kidding. I don't want to get into conspiracy.
Oh no, I'm not saying we would publish it, but I'm just saying we could.
I'm just joking around. but it's like that. It's like, our lives as we knew it were completely just, the rug was pulled out from under us, and we all had to kind of figure out how to kind of reorganize our lives, and had to, focus on taking control of the things that we were able to take control of, and then just sort of operate within that. And now as time has passed, confidence is starting to grow, and we're still here, and it's like the sun is shining today, and it's like, let's get outside and get some vitamin D, because that's really good for our immune systems, and
Yeah.
just sort of like really take the power, right? Really just get the power wherever you can. And again, if it's just vitamin D, right? That's simple. That's free. Just go
Yeah.
outside and let, my chrome dome just absorbs vitamin D, and it's just like I'm doing something, right? I'm doing nothing, but I'm doing something.
Right.
And it's just, and as we kind of, it becomes something that we live with, we're more comfortable with, then it's somewhat more predictable, and we can kind of plan our days better.
Yeah, totally. And you talk about fear and how it's just being marketed to. And I think we're living in this epidemic of fear. And I don't know about you, but I just feel like some people think, well, that's just normal. Like we're
Hmm.
supposed to live with anxiety. And of course, how social media just teaches us this. Like they
Well,
make money when we're afraid.
social media is nonsense. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, there's a lot of valuable information there if you know where to find it. But, generally it's just, it's a placeholder,
You
it's
can
like, oh,
say
that'll
crap
be
on
fun.
this podcast. It's okay.
No, no, no. It's just a placeholder. It's like, it's fun to go there, but there's a lot of really good information to mine there that you probably can't get. And we always crave information, right? We always crave information, and we crave the information that we want the most. And so I look at, for me, I can get on different sites and I can see what's happening in skating, or I can see what's happening in the world of cancer research, and during COVID, we're able to find sources of information that don't really exist anywhere else, like on television or anywhere, where you can see doctors talking about things and things like that. But generally, when I'm at the Olympics and I'm doing broadcasting, and I get the daily list of criticism, it's kind of like, okay,
Yes, please.
it's worthless. It's like I'm doing the best that I can,
Yeah.
and it's good that you had the ability to kind of stop, think about things, and then critique something I said in the moment,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
spontaneously. So I've given up worrying about that stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I've been given some really harsh reviews, and I've been given good ones, and they have the same kind of weight. One feels better than the other, but neither one of them are going to change what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring the best version I can, and then dance with that date,
Oh, I
that
like
date
it.
I brung, right?
Dance to
So
the date that brung you. That's what my daddy used
yeah,
to say.
that's it. It's all I can do is all I can do. And there's other things that have come into play that they're very threatening and very frightening and
Yeah.
intimidating and life changing, and those are the things that, once you're able to negotiate those, all the other stuff takes on a different identity.
It does. It does. It's really perspective, how we're viewing
Hmm.
everything. And
Hmm.
I want you to share a little bit, because I think people don't realize though that fear is optional. And we
Hmm.
don't have to, like when I can just toss that out. What if it's not that easy? Like I know you've
Well,
had struggles of like, man, this won't leave me alone. Like, how do I get past this? How do you help someone and show them like, here's how to get past that fear and step into faith?
there's a couple ways of doing it, right? One is, it's when I was diagnosed with cancer, the fear was it enveloped every
Hmm.
cell in my body. It was just like all I could see was, suffering and diminishment and death and all this stuff, and it was just staring me right in the face. And then all of a sudden, boop, it flipped, and it flipped kind of all at once, from this feeling of sadness and remorse and regret and devastation to, no, I got this. And it's kind of like, I call it an awakening. And a lot of cancer patients have it. They go from fear to power in like a half a breath. And it just sort of like all of a sudden, this, kind of like that fight or flight, that thing inside of you, it just sort of ignites. And all of a sudden it's like, no, I'm going to fight this thing with every single thing that I've got. And it's like, there's one way to do it, right? It's just something within us it's there as defense, it's there to fight, right? And then there's the other side where you really just need information, right? When I was diagnosed with cancer, it's like, they told me I was going to have chemotherapy. It was like, there's that way you go into a room and they replace all your bodily fluids, these big machines, and they go, no, it's a bag of chemical therapy that just drips into your veins. And it's like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, right? How much am I gonna suffer? And the doctor said moderate to severe. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, moderate to severe. So I went on the internet to get information on,
Right.
testicular cancer, and I got medical journal papers with 12-syllable words. And now I realize I'm too dumb to be sick, and so it's like, okay, that's not fair either. So I decided, in my kind of strategy towards survivorship, that I was gonna, fill in those gaps, So we created a program that I love, like I didn't know what chemo was how that was gonna work. I didn't know the different emotions that come with it, and physicians and nurses can't tell you that. Neither can your friends and family. They're just there to support you.
Yeah.
So we realized those are your three angels, right? What was missing, you have your doctor, your nurse, and your family, right? Friends and family. What was missing was the fourth angel. And that's someone who's been there, done that can mentor you and walk you through it and support you and give you that perspective and that knowledge as someone who's on the other side of it now. They can operate as a role model and a source of inspiration. So we built this mentorship program. We pair newly diagnosed patients with survivors, and that check. Okay, so now what? Okay, when they go on the internet, they can't find anything. Now what? So, okay, we need to give people user-friendly information. So I was the organ grinder's monkey for 5 years. And I went around, I raised money everywhere I could to build chemocare.com. And chemocare.com basically walks you through every aspect of the chemotherapy experience, how it's administered. Every single drug is listed. And then the side effects that are associated with those drugs are individually listed as well. So, and it's all written in 8th grade English and Spanish with Google Translate every language in the world. So, now you can go and you can have understandable information for something that's highly scientific and technical, and you can own it, right? You can go, okay, now I get it. Now I see, okay, so it says I'm gonna have some dryness of mouth, and I'm gonna have hair loss. You can handle that, going anyway. And then you might have some nausea. How do I get in front of that? You go to the section that talks about, and so it takes away that ugly sort of mask that chemotherapy has been wearing all these years, and it just sort of rips it off, and you can see it for what it is. And now you're better armed to navigate it in a way that, all the information is there in a form that you can totally take it in. So those are ways of dealing with fear. One is just, there's an awakening, that's that a natural instinct that we're going to fight some more. And then there's the intellectual part of it that just sort of says, what do I need to know? And if I better understand something, I fear it less. Right. And then I'll say one more thing. When my brain tumor came back the third time, it was 2004, first time gamma knife radiation. It came back 6 years later, and that time it was surgery. And then it came back 6 years later. I see a pattern emerging here.
Wow.
The first time was prayer. Second time, it just felt unfair. It just felt, it didn't feel good because, I thought I did enough just to be well and to kind of deal with it. But then 2016, it came back, and this time they were giving me all the medical options, and I was kind of like, it wasn't it wasn't so much prayer, and it wasn't so much the other side of getting kicked in the gut, of that devastation. It was somewhere in the middle where they're talking to me about all the options, and all I hear is get strong. In the back of my head, it's just
It's
this, my spirit was saying, get strong,
strong.
get strong, get strong. And so I, I was, as they said, what do you want to do? And I said, wow, I guess I'm gonna go get strong. I'm the only one that heard the
I'm
voice.
gonna listen to that voice inside of me that
Yeah,
knows a little more. Yeah.
yeah, but I didn't know if it, like I had to think. I go, do I need to be physically stronger? Do I need to be emotionally stronger, intellectually stronger? Do I need to be spiritually stronger?
Yeah.
So I kind of chose all the above. And it kind of like this year, I've really, I've committed to being just in the Word as much as I possibly can be this year. And I'm reading Old Testament, New Testament, Proverbs, Psalms. I'm loving the Psalms more than I've ever loved the Psalms, especially this year. If you really need hope, go to the Psalms. And so it was really funny. It's like, Jesus just says, love the Lord with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, all your soul. And I was like, that's where I got it. It was just in there. So it's really amazing to me that I have these epiphanies that now I respond in ways that just feel natural, that have come out of just being in the Word. Just being in the Word. There's something empowering and strengthening about it, where we understand that this life, this body is, like I tell people, our bodies are really vulnerable, very susceptible to things, incredibly resilient, and ultimately temporary. So what are we going to do about that? Well, we live our days, and we live our days joyfully and productively and abundantly, and in love. We lead with love, and it just sort of changes everything. Without that hope, without that source of power and energy and optimism and unconditional love, it's hard to navigate this world. And I wasn't one that was naturally drawn to faith, or maybe I was faith, but not scripture, right?
Oh,
I
okay.
always believed that I wasn't the top of the food chain, right? I always believed that. I had to, because I was the shortest one in my class. But it was beyond that. It was like I knew that there was someone there. I never felt alone when I was by myself. And so I just didn't understand it. And so the more I've dedicated my time to understand it, the more power I have in the situation, in the storm, or in different times of difficulty. It's like I don't worry about stuff now. Like, when COVID hit, I was in Israel with my son. They shut Israel down. We took the last flight out, on United, and we were kind of hoping to get stuck there, but I'm kind of glad we weren't now, because kind of all the craziness. Yeah. So, we got home, and everybody's saying, don't touch anything, don't breathe the air, don't just stay home. And I was like, okay, I can do that. I'm a good patient. I've been a professional patient my whole life. I'll just do that. And then after a couple months, you kind of like opening the door, and it's like, it's kind of nice outside. Well, maybe I can go out and take a walk. And I shouldn't talk to anybody, right? So there's a lot of fear. So the more we got to do it, and so my wife, it was early in summer, and she just sat down and she just begged the Lord, give me your eyes to see and your ears to hear. I need to know how to deal with this. And he just said, go, you're fine.
That's so beautiful.
And it gave us permission to just sort of be fine. We're okay. He's got us. And if we go through it, we go through it. And I meet people along the way, and I met with this financial advisor, and I got, nobody's wearing masks here. And he said, oh yeah, I ran the numbers. He's a numbers guy. And I go, you ran the numbers? He goes, yeah, here. So he handed me a spreadsheet of cases, deaths, and I'm looking, and population bases, and I'm looking at it going, oh, wow. And you kind of
No,
takes
like
on a
getting that
different identity.
information so you didn't have to have fear because now you had information.
Now you have the information, and it's 99.7% survivable in the worst case scenario. And there's loss of life, and that shatters my heart because I know what loss of life does to a family. It's devastating. It never goes away. My mother died of cancer yesterday. It was 44 years ago, but she died. To
Wow.
me, it feels like yesterday.
Feels
So
like
I don't
yesterday.
want to diminish that ever, ever.
Right.
Loss of life is, it's hard to
Yeah.
negotiate, manage, and everything else. But when you understand that this illness is a pathogen, whatever it is, we don't know if it's a virus, we think it is, but it's more people by a lot are surviving, and some don't even know they've had it. So
Yeah.
we can take stock in that, and
Yeah.
just that we're probably going to be okay, and
Yeah.
just be faithful, lead with
Yeah.
faith, and make good choices and good decisions, and don't put yourself at risk,
Yeah.
but also know that um our bodies are meant to be
Yeah.
powerful,
Right.
and our spirits are eternal. So let's focus on the good stuff.
Yeah. Focus on the good stuff. Now you had
Mhm.
an incredible, I want to like touch on this, but you had an incredible miracle happen when you went back after, God said, be strong and
Mhm.
get strong. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to do it in all aspects. You
Mhm.
went back and they looked at the tumor and what happened?
Well, the first time I went back, they said, "You're going to get some great news today." And I said, "That's awesome. I love great news. What is it?" And they go, it hasn't grown." And I'm like, "Well, that's unbelievable." I mean, the nature of them are they
Yeah,
grow, and they
yeah,
grow into stuff,
yeah.
and they push
Well,
against things, and they stop things from working, and they're mischief makers. They're benign, but they're still malicious, right?
yeah,
They just do bad things. So I go, wow, okay, so I got a stay of execution, as it were, right? I don't have to pull the trigger on anything. So I thought, okay, all right. So they go, come back in 3 months. We'll do another MRI. And I went back 3 months later, and they go, you're going to get some pretty good news today. My nurse would always kind of like give me a heads
aw,
up.
so good.
And I got in there, and the doctor sat down, and he was kind of scratching his head. And I go, did it not grow? And he goes, it shrank. And I go, it shrank. They don't shrink. And he goes, this one shrank by about half. And I go, can
So
you
amazing.
explain that? I go, can you explain that? And he just started chuckling. And he went, God. And I go, it's
There you
good
go.
enough for me.
That's enough
And
explanation right there.
yeah. So, it's been a real interesting ride, because it shrank, and then it shrank again, and then it grew, and then it grew again, then it shrank. And the last two MRIs, it's grown both times. And so I'm like, okay, whatever I need to do, if it's given me the last 5 years without having to treat it, then that's 5 great years of not having
Praise
to deal
God.
with things, beyond just living
Yeah.
clean, healthy, active, strong. But if I do have to go back, I have the two options they gave me: a medical option, and then the surgical option, which is like, So I'll just get all the information. I tell people anytime they're facing a cancer diagnosis or treatment, I go, it's not about second opinions anymore. It's about seventh opinions.
Wow.
There's so many ways to treat
Amazing.
cancer now. And within us, if we've really um, accepted the Lord into our hearts, we get the gift of the Holy Spirit, which is much wiser than we'll
Praise
ever be, right? And our
God.
spirit kind of guides us. It tells us, no, don't turn left, turn right. Trust
Yeah.
me. It's like
Yeah.
that, right?
And then when we
So
hear his voice, because we're the sheep and we can hear the good shepherd's voice, then we'll be like, oh, that's you. That's you saying, get strong. That's you saying, turn left. I can be obedient.
yeah, that's you saying, no, don't go for that treatment option, go for this one. Because in cancer, I also found a really pithy way of saying it: where you stand in your cancer journey depends in many respects on where you're sitting. So if you're sitting across the desk from a surgeon, you're probably going to have surgery, because and I'm not saying there's a conflict of interest in it. It's a
Right,
passion.
of course,
I mean,
yeah.
they went and they learned and they studied those things because they built the skills to be able to deliver those services, right? But if you go to a radiation oncologist, you're probably going to get radiated. If you go to a hemonc, you're probably going to get infused. If you go to a proton therapy center, they're probably going to give you proton therapy. If you go to a naturopath place, you're probably going to get some really good, healthy stuff there as well. So it all depends
Right.
on where you're sitting. And if you're only going to hear from one person, you're only getting a fraction
Yeah.
of what you need in order to really, gird your loins for battle and get in there
Right.
and let her rip. And again, one of them is going to say, yes, that one I can wrap my head around.
Yeah.
That one feels good to me. And generally, that's the best case scenario.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And one thing I love about you is just the zest for living. Like it's not, I
Mm,
mean, I know it sounds so, trite when you say it, but it's not measuring life in years, it's how much life we put into those years.
yeah.
And it's just beautiful that you embody that, and just the platform now that you've developed to help people understand, because you've even said like cancer is the best thing that happened to me. It caused that
Mhm,
awakening. It caused me to really get my perspective right on what's valuable in life. And so no matter where people are in this journey, I mean, there's always things that create fear, and so we
mhm,
can decide, we can agree with that, or we can say, I'm not going to let that slow me down. Just like that, I'm going to get strong. I'm going to get strong in my
yeah.
spirit, in my body, in my mind, everything. And that's
Mhm.
such a powerful perspective. And I just really
Yeah.
appreciate. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, my pleasure. It was funny because we created this platform 4 years ago, and in my spirit, just didn't feel like the right time to do it.
Yeah.
And then month two of COVID, I got a call from my partners in this particular regard, and they just said, "Now?" And I go, "Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Now would be a good time." So it's a platform called Live Your Days at liveyourdays.com. And it's just an encouragement platform. It's a digital encouragement platform. We offer a 30-day challenge, which, they say it takes 12 times or 12 whatever to build a habit. Well,
Yeah.
this is 30 days of just being encouraged and taking on a small task. I will never tell you to do a triathlon or anything, but it's a small task in order to build those muscles of I don't know, gratitude, of
Yeah.
confidence, of just, that power of living in abundance, of just, knowing that we can impact others with just, the blink of an eye. It's just amazing how
Mhm.
much power we're not tapping into in our day-to-day lives that can really make our community and our families stronger,
Mm.
so I encourage people to go and live your days and just check it out and see what you think. And we're going to hopefully create a round two of our podcast there. And it's been
Yeah.
fun. It wasn't right 4 years ago, but now it feels like the right time for people to take
Awesome.
in this message.
Fantastic. Liveyourdays.com.
Live your
All right.
days. Yeah.
Gonna check it out. Thank you so much. Have an amazing time. Be blessed like crazy. Appreciate that so much.
Thank you so much.